Keep it going for the people around you. These claps are for them specifically. Maybe make eye contact and clap at someone. Keep it going for, you're here on a Tuesday at 4? Who are you? Keep it going for non-traditional working hours, I guess. Keep it going for ditching, the idea of just ditching work. Or is this work? Keep it going for that, this is work. Yeah. Keep it going for just knowing yourself. And those who don't clap, noted. Noted. No, I'm so excited. I have an entire 15 seconds to pump you up. Do you feel pumped up? Do you feel? Give me a scale of 0 to 5. 0 is you're actively asleep and it's very cozy in here, and 5 is you're ready. Great, really good, awesome. I don't have enough time, so if you're a 0, just sort of look within yourself. I'm so sorry, I ran out of time. If you're a 0, that's good. Step 1 is self-awareness, and then we'll get it. I'm so excited. We're going to get things started. We're going to bring on the reason you're here, the panels, the conversations, and first I'm going to bring up the moderator for our first panel. Are you ready? Are you ready? We should, if you're able, let's drum roll. Let's drum roll. Perfect. Now we have way more 5s. I just made you go 5, 5, 5. Now you're 10s. You're in it. Okay, you know him. He's recurring on Abbott Elementary. He's Trent from Never Have I Ever. Please make some noise for Benjamin Norris. Here we go. And all our speakers and panelists. I think you have one of these mics. Benjamin Norris, everyone. We'll see you. We'll see you afterwards.
All right. How we doing? Okay. Well, here are our incredible panelists taking the stage right now. Welcome, everyone, to the Hollywood Climate Summit. We are so excited to be kicking off the start of this conference, this incredible conference. I'm going to go down the line here and introduce our panel full of legends, as I told them that's how I was going to introduce them. So I am. First, we have executive producer, showrunner, Gloria Calderon-Kellett. Please give it up. Next, we have actress, writer, director, total rock star of everything right now, Nava Mao. And then last but certainly not least, we have actor, writer, comic, D-Lo. We're going to have fun today. So look, as the co-founders of the summit mentioned in their speech, the underlying theme for this conference is obviously momentum. And they have created an amazing community space for us all to discuss the possibilities for action that the industry holds, and I'm very excited to learn from the three of you. Now look, we would be remiss not to mention that Hollywood has experienced a few turbulent years, and the phrase on repeat right now is survive till 25. It's okay, we're gonna be okay. But considering that diverse voices are likely more familiar with the survival mode mentality, I would love to hear all of your thoughts on just the current landscape of things.
Me? Is it
Sure,
me?
yeah,
Do I
absolutely,
start?
yeah.
Hi, everyone. Okay, where is it? I mean, how many people in here are actors, writers, producers, directors? Yeah. So you know what? You know it's a real disaster out there. It's a really rough moment. And so I think that what we want to be on this panel and what we want to talk about is how do we push through. I hate the survive till 25 because it's always survival when you're a disenfranchised person trying to tell stories. So welcome everyone else, I guess, to the struggle. It's so hard to do this. It's so hard to make stuff. It's so hard to make stuff that is meaningful and impactful and that takes up space and that really holds up a mirror to society. And I think that's what all of us really aim to do with the work. And so really what I want you all to do is not let it get worse. I think it is better. I think there is a shift. You do have buying power. You do have the power of social media. You can say no more reality shows. I have nothing to watch right now. What are we supposed to do? Read books? Let's get some new TV shows, please. So it's, I am fortunate that I am old. So I have been able to get to a showrunner space and they can't kick me out even if they tried now. But that is not the same for so many of my peers. And a lot of the work I was telling some of the panelists before, it feels like it's 5 years ago. I feel like we're kind of back to where we were before a lot of the beautiful movement that we had seen. And so I think it's our job as storytellers and also our job as people that watch and that take in the material to let people know what means something to us by how we spend our money, by what we stream, and really say very clearly with our wallets what's meaningful to us and what we care about and what we want our eyeballs and ears to take in.
Right? That's a pretty good answer. Do either of you have any other thoughts on that?
Oh my God, I feel like you said it all.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for anybody who maybe is not in the industry, what we're seeing in our industry is that corporate interests have continued to prioritize profits over a healthy ecosystem of creative and technical professionals. So in a lot of ways, I think it mirrors the way that our climate had ruined. And so it is up to us to hold the faith and also to present the solutions, because they're not going to come from the corporations. And I think that's what we're all here to do.
Power to the artists, right? For real. Which that kind of leads us perfectly into this next topic. So there was an open letter published last month in the Hollywood Reporter after the closing of Participant, unfortunately, expressing concerns over a loss of value-based stories. And this fear ties directly into the viability of climate content. You know, if we don't have stories about racial justice, gender, reproductive health, LGBTQIA+ rights, and every other intersectional issue, we're not deepening our climate communication. So for any of you up here, why is intersectionality important to all of you and to your storytelling approaches, and why do you think acknowledging the intersection of issues can open the doors for both more creative opportunities and, of course, larger audiences?
Oh, okay, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Dilo. Go by he or they. I think intersectionality is important because that's what this world is. And it's like, I know that when we say intersectionality, oftentimes people want to like umbrella over and say, oh, we need to look out for this community and this community and this community. And we do. But I think that the most powerful storytelling comes from being very specific and letting because every community is dealing with some sort of climate crisis. And it's usually like the poorest and the most under-resourced folks who are dealing with the worst of it, right? And excuse me, I'm very jet lagged. I came from Sri Lanka. I mean, ancestrally, but what I'm saying is that I came home last night at midnight and I'm on 2 hours of sleep. So I feel kind of drugged up in a good way, But what I'm saying is that, you know, I think that in those stories, that is when we actually, like, the part that hurts my heart is that so many people are storytellers within and without and outside of the industry, and so much of it is not, you know, supported financially, right? But I do believe, like, it's places like this that, you know, you meet the right people. I think that the cure to everything, even if it's like not being able to hold down a job, like as artists, as writers, as actors, is coming together and still creating something. And that collaboration, I consider myself a community-based artist because I have survived so many moments with that, and the stories become intersectional because of the collaboration. So sometimes we think we don't know the story that's gonna hit, but you do the minute that you're open up to your collaborators. That's what I have to say for this one.
I think that was beautiful. Yeah, I mean, look, collaboration is the name of the game, right? And I think that, you know, when you're creating something, the more perspectives, the more life experiences that you bring onto the project, it's going to open your world, it's going to open your audience's world, and I think that's something that the industry kind of missed out on for years, were that we were fed very, you know, very minimal amounts of perspectives. We were kind of watching a different variation of the same thing for years. So I think now obviously
You mean
it's
white
more-
people?
Oh, was I
Is
not
that
specific
code?
Was I not specific
Is
enough,
that
guys? Yes, Dilo. Thank you for putting the little subtitles down here. But yes, white people, old white guys. That's exactly who was feeding the stories. But hey, look, we still have so much further to go, and I believe in our industry. I really do. But yeah, obviously it could seem bleak at times, but I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, and I think speaking to the old white guys, I remember when I first got to Hollywood and I entered writers' rooms for the first time, and I was so stunned because I've been doing this for 20 years. I know I have Latina patina, but I'm older than you think. I have really good skin. Thank you, mommy. No, but I remember being like, wait a minute. Oh my God. No wonder when I was 12 years old, I thought, oh, if I'm not thin and blonde, I'm not going to find love. Because these are the people that have been telling me what I'm supposed to think about being a young woman in this country. And it really made me realize, oh my God, I feel so bad for them because they don't know. Like, the truth is, if you are of another, if you came from another country, if you're an immigrant kid, we know American TV more than anybody. Those guys can't write a Cuban-American household, right? But I can write their stuff. This is also why whenever people are like, they're coming for your jobs, I'm like, no, honey, AI is coming for your jobs. And AI can't write about a santera, right? So I think that like we need to actually be more afraid. They need to be more afraid of AI than they are about disenfranchised communities that are just trying to take up space in a world that we all are in together. So that very much affected me. And I think it really spoke to why the stories were so homogenous for such a long period of time and why we had this incredible renaissance of television where some of the best stuff was happening in TV. It all over exploded. But it was so wonderful to be able to see so many nuanced voices, to see specific stories. And while my stuff is going to be Latino-led because that is my experience, it was moving to see that the more specific I got, the more people from other communities would say, oh my gosh, that's my Vietnamese grandma. That's my Jewish grandma. That's my, right? Like they were able to see themselves through the specificity of this. And my mentor, Norman Lear, the late great Norman Lear, who's no longer with us, he was very fascinated by those conversations and really invited the hard conversations. When Good Times was on TV, he went onto the Paramount lot and there were members of the Black Panthers that had come that wanted to protest the show. And security came in and he was like, no, sit down, guys. I want to hear what you have to say. And he invited them into a conversation about why they were there and why they cared and what that was. And I think we've lost the ability to do that, to have conversations with people that we disagree with in a real way, to try to open our minds and not just sit in our echo chambers. And television can really do that. Television invites somebody into their home where they're in their bed or on their couch, and you get to have a conversation with them. And when we are all striving to live, to breathe, to have clean air and clean water, and not have CFCs in our bodies that we're all now walking around with, it's very important for us to be able to go, oh my gosh, that story's my story. We're way more alike than we are different. And especially in an election year, the stuff that we're being fed right now is such garbage, so much garbage. I'm seeking nutrition so much, I miss it. So that's what storytelling can do. And that's what intersectionality can do. My life became so much better the moment that we made Elena Alvarez on One Day at a Time queer. And that, because that meant, I don't know what that, I'm a born straight lady. So I had to hire wonderful LGBTQ writers who came in, and 4 or 5 of them would sit, and I'd get to sit there and listen to the conversation about, oh, do we want her making out with a guy first? And but that's so like tropey, but I know. I was just like eating it up, because the amount that I learned and the amount of, I feel like my heart grew so much and my brain grew so much, and I grew as a human by being able to understand and really be front seat to conversations that normally I did not grow up understanding. And the way that that resonated in the show was because of those voices being there, making it. And so I've only seen how it has so enhanced my life and the life of the writers in the rooms, and honestly, any old white guy that's worked for me, because I have them, they're my diversity hire. But any of those guys loved being in the room because they also are tired. There is such a toxic masculinity that these guys have to walk around with that they also are tired of. It's better if all of us are able to be free to speak and say our story and share with one another. And so the intersectionality, I am just convinced, because I've seen it again and again in the 20 years I've done this, that it only makes things better.
Amazing. Once again, incredibly well said. For any of you, I mean, was there any TV show or movie or you know or any other medium where you were watching something and you were like, whoa, you know, I've never either seen myself on screen before or seen a story that I relate to like that. Any piece of art that kind of inspired you that way, that was like, whoa, I've never seen something that speaks to me so much.
Has anybody seen Veneno on HBO?
Yes.
It's this Spanish series, and it's like this cast of almost all trans women, and it's almost like I didn't even think that was possible, that could exist. Like, even in ideating a show that would feature trans people, I just assumed there would be like maybe 2 or 3 max, you know, and not for it to be a story that depicts a community that actually existed and exists in Spain of trans sex workers that stand by each other when no one else stands with them. And it was so free. It was 3 different timelines and 3 different actors playing the same character, and it made me cry, it made me laugh, it was sexy. It's like I just didn't think that we were like allowed to, and that's the feeling, I think, of oppression that gets transmitted through media, is permission being taken away. And I think that applies in our daily life. Like, that kind of transmits a message that, well, like, maybe I'm not allowed to be here. Maybe I'm not allowed to say this. Maybe I'm not allowed to look like this, you know? And I think that's the power of media, is it can give us permission to simply exist and not feel guilty for being exactly who we are.
Well, I'm glad that you can live exactly like who you are, because that's look, kids are the future, right? The youth is the future. I know it's so cliche, but when a young person, you know, can see someone on screen and relate to them, that's everything, right? Because they can just be a little bit more confident when they walk around, and I think that's beautiful. That was like truly incredible. So look, speaking of community, we're coming off a year of unprecedented community organizing with the WGA and SAG and IATSE strikes, and we've come together over countless social justice fights. But I know, you know, since the strike ended, it's felt a little like that we're all in this together sentiment has slowed, not because we don't have each other's backs, but more so just we're looking at the future and wondering, okay, what's the landscape going to look like moving forward? But we do have that community, and I just open-ended question for any of you. I mean, what did that community groundswell mean to you, and how have you continued to find community since then? And why is community so important, both for your creative work, but also just overall well-being?
Well, I wrote and directed a short film all of last year, and so I ended up being in post during the strikes, and it was this very special little cocoon of community, and so I kind of got to do both. It was like I was on strike, but I was also still working and kind of building the structure and the practice that I actually believe in and that I actually want to bring into studio funded work. And then, you know, I came back to LA and I went and walked the picket line with my co-star from the short film. And, you know, it just kind of, I didn't have to abandon the art while I was on strike. And I think that really solidified for me what the power and the value of community is actually to facilitate us in creating our work, and so the strike just felt like an extension of that. Like, we're fighting for our right to create our work, and I will always hold on to that kind of duality of like focusing on what we're fighting against, but also nurturing what we're fighting for. Yeah.
I feel like, so my career, I'm trans too. I know that people were asking about that in the front, or I heard, um, but but you know, like for me, and I just want to get back here to what you were saying, the possibilities, what you were talking about. The I used to have a joke in my set that said that the closest thing to me on TV that I saw was Shrek, because I didn't never see a stud. Like, I grew up in stud culture before I started taking testosterone, and I never saw anything that really looked like a masculine woman or masculine of center person. And when I saw, it was Orange is the New Black of all shows, even though like there was Laverne Cox, but it was really these other masculine seeming women that I was like, oh my God, this is the first time I'm seeing so many of us on the stage, right? I mean, on the screen. And that thing about the possibility, it's like, nobody could even imagine that a show was going to be like, nobody could imagine this all trans Latina cast. No, and I think that we as creatives have to remember that we're artists first, and the industry is there, and the industry will take its time, and with our help, like as we push them by the booty to get to where they need to go, but that we as artists can continuously create, dream radically, the stories that we want to tell and how we want to tell them. Because I think that there's this one thing where and I know that we were talking about the strike, but I think when things like the strike come, and then everybody's talking about how we don't have jobs and all of that, like, we get caught in that mess. And sometimes when we're allowed to radically dream about the projects, what we want to create, how we want to create it, with whom we want to create it, that when the time comes, that project is ready to go. Because maybe the world has caught up, or maybe you just have, you've been able to get more resources because you know more people. And so that's the thing that has been kind of keeping me afloat too, is being able to, attach my name to projects that bring me such joy, And I know that when we talk about climate crises across the globe, it's like sometimes that hopelessness keeps you away from doing the radical dreaming. But I think that that's our survival. There was something else that I was gonna say, but jet lag took it away. But there, that's what you get for right now. Thank you very much.
If at any point you think of it, just...
I don't even remember what I just said.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know my name right now.
I think, look, what Dilo just said was so beautiful, because as artists, look, we're all doing this, not just, it's not like we fell into this or I'll try that out. We're doing this because we love it, because we want to do it, and because we have a passion. And what's interesting about our passion and our career is we are both lovers and fighters. We love what we do, and we put love into our work, but we also have to fight for it, right? And that's what the strikes were all about. We were fighting for fair wages and equity and all that, and so we are going to fight nonstop to be able to do what we love. And I remember there was a moment in the middle of the strike when things kind of went from like, come on, let's do this, to a second of like, oh my God, I hope this works out, And I remember I was with my wife in a doctor's office. She's fine. It was just an ear infection. But the doctor's office overlooked ABC Studios or Disney Studios, and we had just been picketing there the day before, and I got to see a bird's eye view of the picket line, which I hadn't seen before. And just an hour before that, I think I probably was catastrophizing and thinking like, is this ever going to end? But in that moment, I saw a bunch of people together fighting for what they wanted, because like I said, they love to do what they do. And I didn't cry. I feel like it would have been a better story if I was like, oh my God, I started crying. I didn't cry. I wanted to make sure my wife is okay, which she is, like I said. But look, it was kind of a beautiful moment where I was just like, man, at the end of the day, we're going to be okay because we're all in this together, right? And that's what it's all about. And so...
Can I talk about this?
Please, absolutely.
I was very moved by all of the people not in the industry that came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
To
yes.
see hotel workers come out, to
Yep.
see, we had, there would be like the musician, I did Culver a lot, I did Sony a lot because that's closest to my house, and the Musicians Guild would come out and play live music for us as we were walking. To see, and then to now see Writers Guild members that are going out on behalf of them, and that, you know, a lot of times people are striking and it doesn't make national news, and the fact that we were able to talk about a lot of the other industries that are so heavily impacted that don't have the same privileges that we have, and to be able to highlight those organizations and those unions, I thought was really impactful too. So I just want to say.
It's a great point, Gloria. As always, you are just unbelievable. So speaking of the work, look, we have a panel filled with people up here who are doing truly groundbreaking things, and I want to discuss them just at least a little bit. Nava, first with you. I'm going to speak for the entire room here. I know you're getting this all the time, but your performance in Baby Reindeer is truly brilliant. It's emotional. It's unbelievable. In an interview, I heard you say, I had never seen someone write words for a character that felt like they could also have come from my life and my brain, and it was evident how much you poured into that role. So I just want to know, what was it like for you to bring Terry to life, such an important part of a massive show, and to that point, how does it feel to be a part of such a global hit?
You know, it was so small. It was ours. And I got to just to zoom in and tune everything out, and you know, it would just be me and Richard and Veronica, or me and Richard and Josephine, or me and Richard and Jess, and it was very small. And I think it needed to be private like that. You know, it needed to be personal for it to be real. And I never, ever could have thought that it would be bigger than that. Which I don't know, maybe that sounds silly or like I'm naive, but I don't know, I was just focused, and I cared so much. The story changed my life, and it kind of felt like, well, that'll be enough. It'll be enough for us to do this, and it'll be enough for me to do this, and so everything else now has just been like a whole other ride, and something that now I think is shared with so many other people, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm glad I got to have both, you know, that it was small and now it's big. Yeah.
It's a great answer, because look, please. When you're making something, when you're shooting something, you're just all in it together, and you have no idea how it's going to be received. Obviously, you hope that it's going to be loved, but there's another part of that is it could be huge, and you just don't know if that's going to happen. And so it must have been a whirlwind experience. This must be a whirlwind experience for you. So I think everyone's very happy for you. Gloria, you have cited your grandparents and their bravery as a major source of inspiration, which has led you to approaching your career with such purpose. You have continuously amplified Latina voices and stories, like with One Day at a Time, with Love, and The Horror of Dolores Roach. But now you've set another huge milestone on stage with your recent play, One of the Good Ones, as the first Latina commission in the 100-year history of the Pasadena Playhouse. Please, give it up for that. It's crazy that it took that long, but I'm glad you did it. I would love for you to speak a little bit more about that experience.
Yeah, I mean, I started as a playwright. I started as an actor, and this is really true. 20 years ago, all of the auditions I got were Gangbanger's Girlfriend and Gangbanger's Sister. I mean, I wish that was a joke. And I went to grad school in London. I went to proper drama school, and I came back like, would you like a Shakespeare sonnet? No, oh, should we put the gun down? Cool. So it was really that moment that I started to understand, like, oh, who is telling us stories? Oh, I have to get over there. Like, this is cool and all, but I have to sit over there, and those are the people that have the power. I have to figure that out. So it was me figuring it. I didn't know anybody in Hollywood. I didn't know. It was a complete hustle that never ends. People are like, oh, is the hustle less now? No, it's the same amount of hustle that when I started, I still have to have to try to take up space in a city that was not built for marginalized stories to thrive. So it has taken a very long time. And so I'm now very used to and very comfortable. I mean, I now sit in my power because all of the things that I was told again and again, oh, we want to do Latinos things. They're just not as good as the other thing. Okay, well, all my shows are 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now what? Now what do you got? Right? Like, oh no, I'm critically acclaimed. Now what do you got? You know, we wish the shows did better. Me too. Are you giving me the same budget you're giving Stranger Things? No? Okay, now what do you got? Right? Like, we have to constantly be standing up and saying, hold on, all these things are not, you can't tell me you want me to win the marathon and start me 5 miles behind. So we have to call that out when that's happening. And now I sit in a place of power because I'm old, as we've said. And my last fuck has been given. And so I have children who I adore, who I want them to grow up and be exactly who they are in this world. And so the purpose is even more, the purpose used to be to, you know, as he said, my family came here from Cuba. We were exiles, Cuban exiles, fleeing an oppressive regime. And they came here so that I could be free. So every day I walk with, I have to be loud. I have to be proud. I have to speak up because they literally sacrificed their lives and their livelihoods and everything so I could do that. So it used to be for them, and now it really is for this next generation. And every space I enter, I really enter with great purpose. And I really want to be having a conversation. And I smile and I'm little, so I get away with a lot. And but I can be very scary. But the strike, I love writing. And writing is really where I think I work out a lot of how I feel about life as well. So the idea of the strike was really terrifying to me because it was pencils down. And I was like, but I need this thing. So that's when I approached the Playhouse and I said, hey, so what do I have to do? And they were open and they said, if you write a play, we'll put it up. And I wrote that play during the strike. And it was all of the things that I was not allowed to write at the beginning. All they wanted at the beginning was my trauma. That's the only thing that was sort of interesting. 20 years ago, they just wanted Latino trauma. And I want Latino revolutionary joy. So for me, it was very important that it be a joyful story, but it be about something that I sneak in a little bit of broccoli into the mashed potatoes and talk about some real things like race, like identity, like who are we, like what does it mean to be American, like who is from here and who is not. And I grew up with so many Mexicans in Los Angeles who don't speak Spanish and don't have a tie to Spanish and feel less than as a result of that. And also who are told constantly, you know, go back to your country, and they're like, bitch, this is my country, this is Mexico, okay? Like the border changed, right? Like the border just moved on them, but we are in Mexico. This is Chumash land, right? Like Tongvan Chumash, so anybody who's not that, bye. So hearing all of that and being really struck by the audience at the Pasadena Playhouse and to be able to write something for that audience that was Latino, that spoke about what it was to grow up there and be Latino in what is now very wealthy and very white. And I was so honored to be able to go on that journey. I sit in my own, what do I feel it means to be a woman and a mother and a human today? What does it feel for me to be Latina when my Spanish is pretty good, but not perfect? And the moment I start speaking, I don't do interviews in Spanish, even though I could, because I feel self-conscious still. And also, what is it to be American enough, Latino enough, you know, female enough, girly enough, all of those things, enough. So that's really what the play was about. And they were so supportive of me, and they put so much love behind it, and we had a wonderful run, and then we ended up being the 5th highest grossing play in the history of the Playhouse. So, and it's going up, I can't announce yet, but we are going up again in another city very soon. And so follow me on socials to find out when that is.
I'm sorry I did not mention the fifth highest grossing of the Playhouse, but you know what? I wanted you to say it anyway,
mentioned
so it sounds better when it comes from you. D'Lo, along with being a stand-up comic, writer, actor, and cultural worker, you also have a very successful play called To Tea or Not to Tea, which the LA Times called a moving comedy. Now, you once said, comedy for me is the medicine. So when did you realize, that comedy was your medicine, and what made you want to share that medicine with the world?
Yeah. Comedy, you said the broccoli with the mashed potatoes, and I always talk about it as being the comedy is the orange juice that you crush the medicine in to deliver to your kids when you're trying to make them sleep on the plane. Just kidding. So, but what I'm saying is that, you know, queer and trans people of color, I think that's my audience, is BIPOC, QT folks. And I think that in our cultures, traditionally, there have been so many of us who play a sacred role in our communities. And this is like pre-colonization, right? So I think that the sacredness of comedy is the same thing that I hold as a trans person, as a queer person of color, who knew that if I was outed, I'm also old as well. I'm coming out.
So good.
I'm
It's
old.
so good, you guys. It's so good. The
yeah.
lies that they tell you
Yeah.
about getting, it's so good.
It is.
So
It is
good.
very good. I still have a couple more fucks to give in my handbag, but I'm slowly releasing them so I could be like Gloria. I always aspired to be a woman of color, but this is what happened. So anyway, jet lag took it. So what was I saying? What was I saying?
The orange juice.
Oh yeah,
and,
the oranges. So
drugging
in
your
the
kids
same
on the
way-
plane.
So
and-
in the same way, thank you. So in the same way, I believe that as a trans person, that I used comedy to deflect, because back then, queerness and transness, it was just is just a, like, you couldn't be out, right? And so I hold that as being like, I went and I tried to get agents, managers when I was younger, but then everybody looked at me as a gender nonconforming, gender queer individual, and there was nothing that they were like, we can't do nothing. I showcase, and it would be like, you're talented, but we don't have anything. So I had built this career off of creating comedic-based theater, and got national touring grants, international touring grants, and sustained off of doing that. The comedic part was literally the only tool that I knew that could make people listen. And I'm sure that many of you understand that if you work in comedy, but that there's really nothing else that I have that is as powerful as comedic scripted work, whether that's for the stage or the screen or whatever, because it keeps you off guard, and then suddenly your heart is open because somebody is either joking about themselves. I'm not talking about bro humor that is like degrading, offensive, and all of that. I'm talking about people who really understand that comedy is something that brings people together and can actually put us on that same page. Yeah. So that's what comedy is to me. It is a tool, but I also believe that there's a sacred, spiritual something about comedy that I work primarily with people who have been in the theater. So even if they're working in the industry, they come from the theater. And I believe that when you're working with people who really understand the comedy of anything, primarily and usually people who have needed comedy for survival, like queer people of color, we get stronger after some shitty thing has happened because we have each other to laugh about the absurd thing that the world has done to us, right? So add that to the things that are the most hardest to talk about. And when it comes to hope and hopelessness, when it comes to talking about climate change as well, I try, like with everything that I do, whether it's directing for theater or writing films or TV or whatever, that I try to make sure that, what was I saying? I forgot. It was something
you were
important.
rolling. You were doing really, honestly, you were
And then
rolling.
that's what happened to my brain. Orange juice, I know. It's just gonna see me out there and just gonna be yelling orange juice at me.
The medicine.
Yes. Oh, with
Drugging
people.
the kids, yeah.
I love you, Nava, my sister. But, huh? Okay. That people who understand that. When you have folks like I keep raising my flag up for community and collaboration because I have leaned up against that so much that I am here on this stage. I am here standing. I am here alive because of community. And so, so when I know that there's other collaborators like Adelina and like people who I've been working with for a long time, I am so grateful because they're people who understand that sacredness, the magic of comedy.
Amazing.
Whew, I did it, y'all. I
Did it. You did it. Nice.
Thank you all for helping me out in oranges.
Oh, it was all
I
you.
appreciate
It was all you. It had nothing to do with us. So all of your work and advocacy, it's paved the way for more possibilities for these kinds of stories. I've been lucky enough to work on shows that have also paved the ways for similar stories. Never Have I Ever, Abbott Elementary, Superstore. All of these sets were incredible. They weren't only respectful and joy-filled, but they were also diverse and inclusive and equitable experiences, not to mention sustainable, of course. Last year at this same exact climate summit, the Daniels and Quinta Brunson spoke to how creating equitable production experiences is a part of the climate solution. So how have you all found cultivating or being a part of experiences like that has helped your ability to be authentic and fulfilled storytellers?
Well, we've seen, I think what we see, whether it is spoken or unspoken, is impactful. So as storytellers, if there are ways that you can include medicine, the medicine in the orange juice, the broccoli and the mashed potatoes. Also, I make a killer black bean brownie. You'd never know there's black beans in there. So much protein. If you can get it in there, but in small ways, on One Day at a Time, we made sure, because immigrants by nature are green because we're poor. So I remember the pilot episode, Penelope eats some leftover ropa vieja, and the props team brought me Tupperware. And I said, oh, no, this is a Cuban family. Do you have like an old butter tin that's been washed 100 times? That's what we need. And pickle jars that everything's been taken off, and it's like everything in there is just old jars and old things, because washing tinfoil, I still do it. These are things that we grew up with that are organic to story. But we also had a scene on a roof, and I was like, hey, can we throw some solar panels on the roof? We never mentioned the solar panels, but they're there. And I was also really intentional about how they ate. A lot of times we see a lot of junk food, or we see a lot of plastic bottles. None of my shows ever have any plastic bottles. If there's a party, everyone's using something reusable. Those are all conversations you can have with your prop teams. You can talk to them about that. You can also talk to them about wardrobe. Hey, can we not do fast fashion? Can we go more vintage? Can we, these characters anyway might have more of a vibe like that. It's difficult sometimes because for matching, you need sometimes four t-shirts that are exactly the same. But when possible, try to do that. We also on With Love we started on One Day at a Time, and then for With Love, I got even more in there. And we did a sustainability report every 3 months. And everybody would bring in their water, no single use anything. People would bring their own forks and knives. It's not that big of a deal. Once you do it, they were able to continue doing it. Sets were built out of reclaimed wood. We would use other people's sets and reuse them. It also saves money. These are things that the showrunners can do and be a part of. And then also donations of food. The amount of food that goes to waste in Hollywood is crazy. And there are organizations that will take, if you are thoughtful in how you prepare the food and how you cover it, and making sure that it is healthy for people that that are at homeless shelters, etc. But I'm gonna put it all again on my social media. I put it out before, but it's all the different things you can do, and then at the end of the season, they tell you how many water bottles you saved, how much money the production saved as a result of going green. So it's something that we can do. Also, paper for scripts. I know it's fun to hold a script, but you know what else is fun? On your iPad, it's fine. It's fine. Scriptation is fabulous. It's a great program. You can download it and your notes transfer, directors, your notes transfer. It's unbelievable. So there are ways that you can be thoughtful in how you are making the stuff that you're making. And I'd encourage you all to have those conversations with your heads of department at the very beginning of the season to find ways that you can do that and to try to be resourceful. And it feels really good at the end when you guys all do it together.
Well said. Look, it's easier than you think, right? And the worlds that we create on screen should be the worlds that we want to see off screen. And I know that, there was an episode in Never Have I Ever where there was a park cleanup day, and it was organized by the cool, fun teacher, and obviously it was a great setup for the scene. But at the same time, this is happening all over the country, and it helps with the mindfulness, and even, like Gloria was saying, off screen as well. I know when Superstore wrapped, that lasted for a bunch of seasons, many years, and there was a giant store, fake store, filled with real products. And what did they do? They donated all those products, hundreds and hundreds of products. So look, it's easy to do stuff like this, and it's very, very important. So thank you, Gloria, for bringing that onto your sets, because you are an absolute boss. So if people see you doing it, they'll do it too. So we're going to wrap up this conversation right now. And given that this conversation is called The New Paradigm, I want to know from you all, what would you like to say about the positive shifts you're hoping to see in Hollywood as we look towards the next year? And what advice or action items can you share with the audience so that they can contribute to these positive shifts?
Well, I mean, as you were speaking, which I'm so amazed and inspired, and I just think you're doing such incredible work. That's phenomenal. I didn't even know. Wow. I'm like, my mind is going in so many different directions. But it made me think about the fellowship program on the set of Disclosure, which is a documentary that was directed by Sam Feder as an independent production, and then it went to Sundance, and then it was purchased by Netflix. So a lot of people know it as a Netflix production, but it was actually an independent production. And there was a fellowship program to provide on-set mentorship, hands-on experience, and shadowing for trans and non-binary filmmakers. And so that was actually the first Hollywood set I was ever on. I worked in the grip and electric department, and I was building C-stands and tying ropes, and I learned so much. It was incomparable to have that kind of experience, to be invited into that space without the qualifications. And so for all of us in that program, I think that was the only way we were going to get to have that kind of experience and training and networking. And so that inspired me on when I did my short film production last year. We had a fellowship program. And so we invited 7 trans and non-binary people to come on set for shadowing, mentorship, training, and hands-on experience. And 3 of those fellows then that summer made a short film, and they had fellows. And so it's beautiful to see the way that this kind of structural change, it plants a seed, and then that seed grows. And I think that we're seeing that happening, and I'm hoping that it will continue happening just right now, like you just planted a seed for me and for future productions. And so it's about that kind of gardening system of planting something that will sprout and plant something new again. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm going to piggyback off of what Navi just said, because I know we're technically out of time. But, these fellowships, everything that you were saying, Gloria, like, I feel like sometimes the model is not shared. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're telling your story and people will ask you, but then the model is not shared about how you specifically have been doing this, right? And so in that same way that you were saying, the gardening is so important. for all the sets that we work on with Adarisa Productions and now with every production that I do, whether that's short film or like when we're in these spaces where it's like you're doing a fellowship, we really do look to what the elders in indigenous communities are asking for us here on this land, and to approach doing the work on set with crew and cast in a mindful way where, you know, you're not allowed to yell at people. You're not even allowed to like raise your voice at someone. And if you do, and if we hear of anything, you're out. I'm sorry, you're out, because we're trying to create these sets and these experiences for people that are really about bringing, like when we talk about safe space, it's never guaranteed. We can only keep trying to make those safe spaces. And so I just wanted to say that, and then it left the building again. Oh man, come talk to me. We'll rap. We'll rap. Me and you will rap.
I'll close it out by saying we are in a broken moment, but I think what's interesting about broken moments is how do we repair? And what can we look at what was broken and say, you know, I'm taking my first vacation with my family in summer ever this year, because I'm always working in June. That's when TV writers' rooms usually start. That's fucked up, right? Why did it take this long for me to say, I only have a few years left with these beautiful children in my house? Thank you for breaking so I could take note of what the cost is sometimes, and how we can look at making a repair that is more equitable, that is kinder, that is gentler, because this work can be done with joy and with kindness and with equity. So let's think about that.
Incredible answers. I'm the last thing that I'll say right now, because it's just I love what you're all saying about kindness. And look, you don't have to be an asshole to be successful. And I think this industry has like propped up these people who yell, and I feel so fortunate for the jobs that I've worked, because I'm very lucky. All the jobs that I've worked, everyone is incredibly respectful. And every time I walk onto a new set, I consider myself a student, and I like to pinpoint someone who treats every single person with respect, no matter who they are. And this could be a PA, it could be a DP, it could be a grip, but I like to watch these people and how they carry themselves. And when you learn from people like that, then everyone feels safe on set, and you are going to create better work when people are happy on set. So I love what you all are saying about that. Treat people with respect and kindness. It'll help out us. It'll help out the environment. It will literally help out everything if we just care for each other and love each other. And my dad's going to love that I said that, because he's like such a hippie. But it's true. We gotta care for each other and care for it all. So thank you all. You all were a lovely audience.
And give it up for Ben, Benjamin.
No.
Yes, Ben.
So weird. I was just going to say, give it up for the panel. Unbelievable. Thank you all. I'm not entirely sure where we're supposed to go now, but probably off the stage. But we're going to exit now. Thank you all. Thank you all so much.
You had up that. Keep it going for Ben. Keep it going for the panel. Keep it going for Ben's hippie dad. What a shout out. Mr. Norris. Thank you so much. Some new people, my name's Esteban. I'm hosting today, which means you'll see me before and after panels. And if you don't see me, panic. Something is horribly wrong. And I'll just tell you what to do. So here's what's going to happen. Okay, there's one person left. Thank you so much. It's a tough biz. We've got 15 minutes, okay? And downstairs, there's delicious food and drinks. No, don't go yet. No, I'm kidding. You can go. Only they can, though. I'll dismiss you individually. Hollywood Climate Summit rules. And if you laugh, you get food. So you're ready. So we got 15 minutes. There's food and drinks. If you're new to Los Angeles, a great opening question is traffic, huh? So you can do that, okay? You'll fit in. I will see you back here in 15 minutes. Spoiler alert, Bill Nye is here then. So get here early. We'll see you in 15 minutes. Have a wonderful break.